to 7 River Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each weekend we start looking into sports, into wellness, and into fitness. This week we continue our look at high school football in the Cooley region. My guest today, the defensive coordinator for the Central Red Raiders, Ryan Bott, along with 2 seniors, Popp and Andrew Teff. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Well, if you're wondering about my attire, here's the story. Typically, I wear a sport coat. Today, I'm celebrating the recovering health of our defensive coordinator, Ryan Bott. And my shirt, I'm proud to wear because a friend, a former Holman player, a former Concordia College player, your dad played for me, a family friend, I could go on and on and on. But this, Coach, is in honor of you. Let's start in a different way. Let's start by talking about your setback. Let's talk about Hodgkin's lymphoma. Let's talk about what's going on in your life.
Well, where I'm at right now, it's been a long road, but I'm in the recovery process. It was back New Year's Eve, I was diagnosed with this. I had finally went into the doctor for the 3rd or 4th time to see what was going on with me. I had a cough for about 5 months that wouldn't go away. The last 3 games that I coached last year, being the Week 9 and then the 2 playoff games, I had a fever for each. So realized that, I wasn't in my best health. Went in, got diagnosed, got the game plan. It looked like 12 rounds of chemo and 15 rounds of radiation. And you put your nose to the grindstone and you go do what you got to do.
Incredible attitude. And for those of you that don't know the story, and it's been well covered in the media, in layman's terms, Hodgkin's lymphoma attacks the cells.
Well, it's a lymphatic disorder. It's a lymphatic disease, so it attacks pretty much your immune system. So the tumors could be anywhere, usually in the chest. Mine was in the left mediastinum, and it was a very large mass. That's why it was 2B bulky. They treat it like it's level, or like stage 4 then. So it's a very large mass, but there's tons of great research showing across the country that chemo can pretty much cure Hodgkin's lymphoma, melt it away, on top of the radiation that they're able to do. I almost felt fortunate after I got my diagnosis, knowing that it was Hodgkin's lymphoma and not non-Hodgkin's and not a different type of more rare cancer. So although still cancer, that had to be my perception from the beginning right away.
Yeah, there's a lot of cancer in our family, so I'm very familiar with it. But I know that it affected the entire Central School District and the community and the team and so on. Again, our guests today, Ryan Bott, Popp, and Andrew Teff. How did it affect Max, the team, and you personally?
Really, it was just a big shock. He's our coach, and he supports us all the way through the season. And we just all wanted to really support him throughout his treatment.
And I know, Andrew, too, speaking for you and the team, there must have been, you were on an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, like what Max said, it was like a really big shock, and obviously, like, you never wanted to go that, because, like, he's part of our family, so it's like one of your own family members gets cancer too, and I had that experience with my aunt. She got it and then had breast cancer and got over it not too long ago.
Well, again, as we tape the show here on Wednesday, the 21st, we open the season covering the Central Red Raiders in a rare home game at your Corey Degatano Field on your campus. Talk about training camp. Talk about your preparation for this opening game.
Well, that starts with some of the challenges for me personally, and even our team a little bit in our defense and how we've bounced back from that. I missed pretty much the first week of training camp. It was a decision by me and my wife and doctors to, once I started recovering, to be with your family and make sure you spend that time with them. And so we went on a vacation for 5 days. And it was, although tough to do because my duty calls, and it is a big part of my life, I was also very blessed to have these guys' understanding, as well as the coaching staff that I have around me to be able to relay that information to them and let them coach it for the 5 days that I was gone. But I came back. We get right back to what we always do, and we really like where we're at now. Camp's a grind, and every player knows it, especially these pretty experienced players. At this point, we know what we're doing. We've been grinding every day. We're just kind of chomping at the bit right now to just play the game already.
Well, we're going to talk about your preparation for that game. We're going to talk about the season in the second half of the show. Max, you're a returning. We watched you play last year. You're returning defensive back.
Yeah.
Played extremely well. We mentioned that on our broadcast. Now you're going to play a little offense also. Reflect on last season and maybe your thoughts on goals personally for this year.
Personally, obviously, just to get better, I believe I had a good season last year, but, I always want to get better and improve myself.
And we worked a lot of games with you, Andrew, and I know you weren't in the starting lineup to begin with, and then there were some situations that developed that put you in, and the opportunity came, and you were there. We talked about you on our broadcast, and you were our player of the game at least one time during our broadcast season. You had a great year. Was it something that was expected? Was it a surprise to you?
Well, it was kind of surprising me too, because usually, the past couple years, I was never playing that physical. But then once I got it, I just started to fall in love, and then I could just play as physical as I wanted to.
Training camp, I remember as a player and as a coach going through training camp, and it's changed dramatically with new rules and regulations, expectations, and maybe the philosophy of overdoing things has been challenged and curtailed, and as a result, things are a little different. Training camp from when you played at Holman, when you played at Concordia, would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. The game's changed in a lot of ways, and there's been a lot of information that's come out in a lot of ways. People concerned about player safety, concussions, all those things. So the game and people in our position are always trying to do everything that we can to make sure that things are as safe as they can be for young people. That's always number one. And so I do remember having the two-a-days at Holman. I'd have a morning and an afternoon practice, and there were live sessions in both, and remember those days. But I can also remember in recent memories in our training camps with live opportunities and someone breaking their arm. So you want to limit the number of those type of reps as far as that kind of live intensity goes, but you never limit the mind intensity. That's something we kind of really pride ourselves on as a program. With not being live all the time, what ways can you still engage players mentally while still practicing the way that we want to play every day?
One of my favorite quotes from a friend of mine who passed away, Rick Majerus, a famous coach, was that the mental is to the physical as 4 is to 1. In other words, the mental is 4 times more important than the physical, and you're talking about that. Now, your voice has changed a little bit due to your illness. I'm sure that will come back. But just so in case our viewers are wondering, if you can move that prop a little closer to you and maybe share the reason that you brought that with you.
Well, I thought the guys would get a kick out of it, and I got a kick out of it too. I like to make myself laugh sometimes, so I brought my new little comedy prop, but it's actually a real thing I'm using all the time at practice now. I've recently been put on vocal rest by a throat specialist that had revealed after seeing inside my throat that my trachea and my voice box has some big wounds on it from years of abusing my voice in a gym, weight room, field setting, on top of formerly singing in a band. on top of getting a large mass in my body that started to kind of manipulate the way I would breathe and project from certain parts of my diaphragm. So I'm about to be starting some speech therapy soon here to relearn how to breathe using the bottom of my diaphragm, and hopefully take a lot of the strain off of my trachea, hence what I can do at football using my new projectile.
You know, a thought just entered my mind. We have 15, soon to be 16 grandchildren, and they come over to our house quite a bit. Maybe I could use that when they don't listen and they play it down the street and they won't come back for dinner time.
You'll get their attention and you'll save your voice.
There you go.
Win-win.
Well, all the years I coached, I'm surprised I still have a voice, but anyway, well, we're going to just step aside just for a minute. When we come back, we want to get to know Andrew and Max even more, so we'll be right back after these messages.
With our busy lives, it's a comfort to know that we can still remember loved ones in a traditional way with a monument. Lewiston Monuments in Lewiston, Minnesota has been helping families purchase a monument for over 4 generations. You'll find a large selection of beautiful granite, marble, and bronze monuments, all at competitive prices. And they're a full-service company, so they also do straightening, cleaning, and repair of monuments. Stop in or call for a no-obligation consultation, or visit lewistonmonument.com for more information.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports Special Show. Today we continue our look at high school football. Defensive Coordinator Ryan Bott, along with Max Popp and Andrew Teff. Well, I talked to a friend of mine, Tony Service, who happens to be your head coach in his, I believe, 9th year. Here's what he said about you, Ryan. A great addition to our staff. Everyone in the community knows that. The defense has continued to make incredible strides. Coach Bott brings so much energy and positivity, and his medical issues and approaching those with an upbeat, positive attitude has been a great lesson for our team, for the school, for the community. Thoughts?
It means a lot. I'm glad to be perceived in such a way. Enthusiasm and passion and football and growth mindset are things I really try to protrude out to people, and so I'm glad that it's received that way.
You do it well. Max Popp is a quiet leader, says Coach Service, can play both safety and corner. Physical, good coverage skills, had 3 interceptions and 1 TD, is great hands, runs great routes, and is a pleasure to coach.
Yeah, like Bott said, it means a lot that my coach sees me like that, and I just hope that I can meet those standards.
And Andrew Teff, returning linebacker, last season was a surprise on defense. We kind of talked about that. Not a surprise to him, but maybe to other people. Our third leading tackler was Andrew Teff, long snapper. In fact, invited to Wisconsin to demonstrate his long snapping skills and counted on to be a great leader in 2019.
Yeah, well, obviously it means a lot that he expects me to be a great leader, and I hope I can live up to those standards, and yeah.
Well, we talked about long snapping, your backup quarterback, and got to be ready because anything can happen to quarterbacks. As we all know, they're free game sometimes, and they're on an island. Your honorable mention last year. Do you have any personal thoughts as you kind of launch yourself into this season?
Mostly just make sure that I don't get like too wrapped up in my emotions during the game, because that happened a couple times last year, and just making sure that I don't get too overwhelmed and I'm just focusing on the game.
Did the officials notice that you're high energy and passionate and so on, or because you're the kind of kid who would never cross that line?
No, it's just like I kind of get into my own head for things. Like if I miss tackles or I get blocked too bad, then I start to get in my own head, and then it starts not getting good. I got to get grounded.
You don't want to rush the season or your senior year, but it just seems like as we grow older, especially with me, it just seems like time just goes too fast. So you graduate in May, and then you're on to another chapter. Share with our viewers what you're going to do.
Well, I'm going to visit Stevens Point on Friday this week, so I'm going to go check that out, and then I guess decide if I want to go there, and then figure out some more different places to go.
And family is a big part of knowing your family. We talked about before we went on the air. Coached his dad and family, close friends, and your family means a lot, and they support you through thick and thin.
Yeah, they support me through just about anything. I mean, it's really nice to have that support system there, so I can count on them.
Yeah, and you indicated in your profile that your role model is none other than your dad.
Yeah, he always just make sure I hold myself to higher standards, and sometimes that seems like, I thought it always seemed like, oh, he's always going to be super hard on me, but he always wants the best for me.
Well, I'm sure he does, and he's a role model himself. And Max, of course, you're well known as a hockey player and as a football player, and you played multiple sports, All-State, National Honor Society, so you do well overall, don't you?
Yeah, I take school very seriously. I want to do well in my future, and my parents hold me to a high standard.
Family support, a big part of who you are, too, with your mom, dad, and your sister?
Yeah. It's very nice to have that support. Not many people get to have that.
After your senior year, where is Max going to go?
I visited Viterbo looking into their nursing program and thinking about visiting some other places.
Well, good. Two pretty significant medical centers in this community.
Yeah.
So we might just have you stay here and possibly be Coach Bott's assistant coach next year. What do you think?
That'd be fun.
Well, good. Well, Coach, looking at the season, I'm doing an ESPN radio spot this afternoon, and my focus is going to be the incredible strength in the MVC, overall the parity, but particularly the quarterbacks. When you look at the three quarterbacks that are vying for the starting job at Holman, you look at your quarterback, Johnny Davis, you look at Austin Larson, you look at our grandson from Logan, who's a starting quarterback, and then you look at Cole Wisniewski. Oh my goodness, we worked some games last year deep in the playoffs when I can see why he's a D1. Anyway, I think the pressure will be on these two guys on defense, your defensive unit, and on defensive coordinators to contain quarterbacks more so this year than perhaps in any recent years. Would you agree?
Probably. That's one of the things, though, we don't get overwhelmed. We're so week by week, we've got a strong mentality of 0-0 mentality. So we're always preparing for that opponent we got next. And we've got those days that are gifted to us to prepare for them. We like it that way. We want a challenge. We've been in those big situations, and we've done well in some. And that's what makes a defense fun, and that's how you thrive.
But the scheme, a challenge is to develop schemes to contain quarterbacks. Again, this is a special year, in my view, with the gifted quarterbacks. Will be additional pressure, I think, on defensive coordinators. I really do, and not that it's overwhelming. Max Popp, let's up close and personal. Your favorite role model, your most significant role model, your dad, too. Why is that?
He's never been a slacker, and he's always shown me that hard work will get you places, and I've always just pushed myself to work harder.
Favorite toughest opponent in the MVC?
Onalaska.
Why would that be?
It's always a battle between us. You never know who's going to win.
On a rainy day, and you don't have homework, you don't have practice, season's over, whatever, what would Max Popp be doing? What does he like to do on his spare time?
I love to fish.
Really?
Yeah.
Even in the rain, huh?
Oh, well, not really in the rain, but if it's a nice day, I love to go fishing.
So is there some favorite fishing spots that you like, or don't you want to tell our viewers?
No, it's fine. The French Slough, it's kind of just past the Riverside Park. It's a great spot.
Yeah. And it's interesting, your profile sheet demonstrates something, brought back some memories to me. Part-time work on a horse farm. Now, when I was in college, one of my 6 or 7 jobs I did to work my way through college was to work on a horse farm. You didn't know that, though.
No, I didn't.
Neither did probably our viewers. But what's your job on that horse farm?
It's just a lot of manual labor, like feeding the horses, mowing lawns, trimming, and just anything that needs to be done, really.
Shifting back to football, we worked a game last year, and I think it corresponds with what your thought is. We thought your interception in, I think, the first playoff game against Oregon was certainly was a game changer. Yeah. Is that one of your probably most precious reflections?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a great moment for our team, and we were able to move on to the second round.
Leadership. Now, Coach, you teach leadership, and maybe there's some intangible things, but leadership is part of the job of coaches, of course.
Definitely.
And you're a leader. Describe your leadership skills.
I would say, like, I'm more of a quiet leader, like, kind of in the background leading, but if I need to get up there and lead, I will.
Andrew, you're a leader too. Mm-hmm. There's no question about it. And I think leadership to you is setting an example that your dad and your mom set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the same thing. Like even on the field, obviously I like being quiet and not really saying anything. But if it needs a time and no one's listening, I'll step up and take the reins and lead them.
So if somebody asked me, well, what's something that maybe the community or maybe friends or whatever don't know about Andrew, it probably would be that you're a little bit withdrawn, perhaps shy when you're not on the field. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like being around like a lot of people. Like I have a really close friend group, and like them, and I'll branch out a little bit, but most of the time I don't really like being at big, like huge events where there's a ton of people.
Favorite opponent for Andrew Teff?
Definitely Logan.
Oh, place where I sort of know quite well.
Yeah.
So does that bring up more energy, more adrenaline, more passion?
Yeah, because like obviously they always bring their best, but there's also some stakes on the line with the arc.
That's pretty significant. I got to remember that back to my playing days. Philosophy of life. Do you have one for so young a man as you are?
Yeah, mostly just don't like regret anything that you did or didn't do, and obviously you never want to change yourself in any way. You always got to be true to yourself and not true to other people's.
How do you handle disappointments, and has there been something that's disappointed you?
Yeah, obviously losing the second round of the playoffs is a big disappointment, and obviously it was kind of hard with all of our seniors last year and all of them because I built a really great bond with a bunch of them, so it's kind of sad to see them go.
We picked two incredible leaders, and one of my close friends and a guy that I admire, and that's the defensive coordinator for the Central Red Raiders, Ryan Bott, again with Max Popp, and next to me, Andrew Teff. So it's been a pleasure having you on. We could continue talking for another half hour, but we're going to have to step aside and give our viewers some highlights of a couple of recent games. So we appreciate you being on the show, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck during the 2019 season.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
We'll be back with just those highlights that we just discussed right after this.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning. Your comfort is our business.
When you're faced with the decision of selecting a monument to honor someone dear to you, call Lewiston Monuments for a no-obligation consultation. Lewiston Monument is a full-service monument company, serving families in Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin for over 4 generations. You'll find beautiful granite, marble, and bronze memorials, all at competitive prices. Their experts can help you design the perfect and unique memorial. Lewiston Monument. Call today or on the web at lewistonmonument.com.
Welcome back to 7 River Sports. I hope you enjoyed our interview. This week, we profiled the Central Red Raider football program. Well, we took to the road last week as our cameras were in Eau Claire for two big non-conference games. Let's start at Carson Park on Thursday. The 1-0 Eau Claire Memorial Old Aves versus the Central Red Raiders, also 1-0. It was an even matchup in the first quarter, with Central striking first on a 50-yard pass from quarterback Johnny Davis to wide receiver Terrence Thompson. Conversion run by Johnny Davis. Eau Claire Memorial scored twice in the first. Quarterback Bryson Johnson from 4 yards out, and a field goal by senior Trevor Kent. A wild second quarter with Eau Claire Memorial putting up 27 points and Central posting 22. 27-22 at half. More scoring in the third as the Old Aves began to dominate, scoring 22 points on 3 Loyal Crawford touchdowns. Central was held to only 1 TD, Johnny to Jordan Davis from 54 yards out. 2 TDs for each in the fourth, with Davis and Crawford in the spotlight. Junior Loyal Crawford scored 5 TDs and 337 yards on the ground. Davis scored 3 TDs, throwing for 332 yards and rushing for a team-high 135 yards. Central opens conference play on Friday at Toma, while Eau Claire Memorial hosts Rice Lake. Final from Eau Claire, Memorial 62 and Central 44. We were back at Carson Park on Friday night with our Logan Rangers taking on the Eau Claire North Huskies. Both teams looking for their first win. Eau Claire North jumped to an early lead as Cameron Robertson and Sam Barbie scored touchdowns. 13-0 Huskies after 1. Logan's offense finally kicked in the second quarter as quarterback Julian Erickson found the end zone from 2 yards out, followed by an exciting 70-yard run punt return by junior Jackson Fenwick. On the next play, junior Charlie Walter raced 90 yards for Eau Claire, putting the Huskies up 20-12 at the break. Logan's defense took over in the second half, holding Eau Claire scoreless. Senior quarterback Julian Erickson scored 2 TDs and threw for a 2-point conversion to wide receiver Jackson McHugh Sake to complete the scoring. Erickson and senior Max Harsey were our players of the game. Logan begins conference play on Friday, hosting the unbeaten Sparta Spartans at Swanson Field at 7 p.m. Eau Claire North travels to Superior for a 7 p.m. kickoff Friday night also. Final from Carson Park, Logan 26, Eau Claire North 20. Well, that does it this week here on Seven Rivers Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping you will have an active and a healthy week ahead.